What is the first word you think of when you hear the word rave? Is it community? Safety? What about unity? If not, it should be. This week, Sam takes us through her musical journey that led her to the rave scene, and she debunks some of the myths that have perpetuated throughout time. We talk everything from Warped Tour and childhood cancer to trinkets and family meals with newfound friends who share a love of music. There's also quite a bit of history sprinkled in. Welcome to Who Are You? Curious Stories of Family Lore. This is episode 12.
I'm Wheatsy.
And I'm Sam Ivy. And this is episode 12, the soundtrack that makes us. First off, welcome, fam. You
Welcome.
know, thanks for joining us.
Yes. We have something. Well, I don't have anything. Well, I guess I will be contributing, but Sam is taking the lead today, and we're kind of doing something a little different, and I'm really excited about it.
Me too, because, I don't know, this podcast, as much as we are witchy, spooky people and love, the creepy lore and things like that, I feel like it's going to be a good switch of pace, but still kind of relate to many people. I mean, this topic is something that everybody can relate to in one way or another.
Yeah, because you're going to be talking about specifically festivals, right?
Just music experiences in general. For me, myself, a lot of my music experiences have been festivals, but I've also gone to a bunch of shows at random bars or, clubs and things like that and had some wild, just uncanny experiences. So it's basically, it's the music that made me. It's, the stuff
Yeah,
that helped me get through hard times and develop my character to this day.
heck yeah. And also, like, with tying into this podcast, I feel like we are shaped, like you just said, by our music experiences, but humanity has also been shaped by festivals throughout all of time. Since the very first, people, ancient people in Egypt and Peru, where were some of the other, Persia, Egypt, India, I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, France, the earliest civilizations, they painted, they made cave paintings, they made hieroglyphs, and within those cave paintings are depictions of people partying to music, festivals. Back as before, as soon as there was fire, they danced about it. They were like, holy shit, this is fucking fire. It's warm. Let's celebrate it. Let's create a fire festival. Let's just
And think
every year celebrate about fire and
And
music.
think about it too with that, like back in the day, especially the time frame that you're talking about, language and communication skills and stuff were not developed to what they are nowadays. So like for people to express like, oh, I'm happy, oh, I'm angry, like they use sound, just like they use drawings. So
That's so
like,
cool. To put it that way, it's so cool. Yes.
but yeah, so here's a little bit of I'm a huge music junkie, always have been. My music taste is a variety of things from, bluegrass and country all the way to EDM and the Love Loves to some Ray Charles here and there, or some Easy E. Like it just kind of, I like the sounds, I like the energy, I like the feelings that certain songs provoke out of me, whether I'm in a good mood, a bad mood, or fucking, it heals you in so many ways that you don't even see at the time. And for
Yeah.
me, with all the trauma and stuff of what I've gone through as a child, because didn't have the cookie cutter childhood. We'll get into that eventually, but
Mhm.
had some
Yeah.
ups and downs, had some, had a broken family, all that jazz. And when you can't put words to emotions or explain why you're feeling something, and then be able to hear it in a melody or hear somebody else in a poetic way frame it, and it resonates with you, like it saved me so many times.
It's I always like I don't know how to put this. The first time I felt proof of an afterlife was when a song gave me goosebumps
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, what is that unseen force creeping up, like creeping up, existing here in this space with me, making itself known? That
And
connection.
resonating with you too in a deeper connection or a deeper way than you notice
Yeah.
at the time.
Yes. If you'll excuse me, my cat is singing the song of her people, and she is reciting the
Yep.
Gettysburg Address at the very top of the stairs. But yeah, there's a reason that music and festivals, like a festival is not a festival without music.
Mm-hmm.
So,
If not, it's just a bunch of random people in some weird get-ups getting together to hang out,
standing there.
staring at each other menacingly.
He's just standing there menacingly. The maniac's in the
Yaks in the
mailbox.
mailbox.
Anyways,
So
copyright
yeah,
SpongeBob, we don't own that. We don't own that, boys.
no, but mad respect, dude. You also helped develop me. All right. So yeah, so back to music and everything. So for me personally, like I said, music was a big thing. I remember being a kid, just like waiting and getting amped, like when I was finally old enough to go to a concert. Like I didn't care what it was. I didn't care if it was, going to a stadium and sitting down. Like I had no idea what the culture was and what the experience would be, but I was down for it. Like I knew, like I loved music enough where I was like, I need to see, I need to see it in person. And it's one of the few things that you guys won't hear me do this often, but I will give my aunt Cheryl credit for is that she did help influence my music taste and what I like. And, she was the one that took me to my first concert experience. So I give praise where praise is due.
Well, yeah,
Um,
and that also goes back to when you said, like, going back to one of our earlier episodes, you made the comment and it stuck with me and it is relevant, I swear. Where you were like, I will talk illy of the dead. I will hold them account just because you're dead doesn't mean that, you don't get held accountable
yeah,
for everything you did. But just because you're living, you said something like,
it doesn't
I will.
swipe the slate clean.
Yes, but you said like what am I trying to say? You were like you will recognize the good in people, but you're going to hold them accountable for their actions.
Yeah,
And you
like
you were saying that about somebody who is dead, but it also applies to the living is what I'm like getting at roundabout. I
yeah,
need to stop hitting
like
this.
I like 100% though. Like even though like we might not be good now and things might not be okay, I'm still going to appreciate the past memories we made because not all of them were bad.
Yes,
So
100%.
yeah, so kudos to Cheryl for this. But my first concert experience was actually a festival that everybody should know, or you should like kind of know, but Vans Warped Tour. However, I don't, I didn't go to what Van Warped Tour is now. I went back in the day when the tickets were like 40, $60, and
Yeah.
it was here in Maryland at the Merriweather Post Pavilion, and you got gross and grimy, and it was an experience. So my first
Yes.
year going, because Warped Tour has been around since apparently like 1995 is what I found out.
Mm-hmm.
Created by this guy Kevin Lehman, not really sure how to say his name. Um,
Me either, but I've seen it everywhere, but I have no idea how
yeah,
to say it. Let
so
us
he
know.
started this back in 95. I wasn't born until 97. Ooh, should I pause?
No, you're
Sorry, it
good, I
froze for a
think.
second. Okay.
Yeah, you're good now.
Um, but Warped Tour started back in 95. I wasn't born until 97. And I didn't end up going to Warped Tour, had no idea what it was, never heard of it until Cheryl took me back in 2011. And God, I hate doing math. How far was 2011?
14 years ago?
Okay, so I was.
Wait, no. 14 years.
No, wait. No,
I
I
don't
think you're
know.
right. Yeah, I think you're right. 14.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna
been
fix my melon streak.
I would have been probably like 13 going on 14 for this. Not to age myself, but to put it into perspective. Like that was probably
You
when I was
literally
going the
said your
first time.
birth year.
I know. But It was such a mind-altering character building experience that like unlocked my eyes to that culture that I've never had before. Like my first year going, I had no idea who I was going to see, what I was like, I had no idea what to anticipate. And we
Yeah.
go, and literally, I see the Ready set, the people that are really well known for like Love Like Whoa and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Yes.
Loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is great. Love that song. And actually, that same day, he was having a meet and greet that you didn't have to pay for anything. You just had to show up at his tent, and he would sign something for you and take a
Which,
picture.
yeah, that's really common at Warped Tour. It's kind of like
Yep.
why it was so fucking awesome.
But it was my first concert. I'm meeting someone famous. I remember him wearing a Garfield shirt, and he smelled freaking good. And I actually still have the little pamphlet that he signed, like that. Like, I didn't have to buy anything. He gave me like his like little like hey, I'm playing this show pamphlet and
Hell
signed
yeah.
it.
I can
Like
hear his voice right now as you're talking about him.
it's yeah, he was such a cool dude. So yeah, so started off the day meeting him, walking around the vendors. I meet this other band that's phone calls from home that were
Oh
I
my
met three out of the
God.
four members.
Holy fuck, you just punched me in the nostalgia gut.
Yep. Still have the poster from them. I love them. Um, but yeah, so like I met them randomly just walking around, went to their booth, like met three out of the four members, which I thought was cool. And I was like, holy crap, like it made me very humble in realizing that like these celebrities and like these views we put on people, like they're just people. And Warped Tour and things like that are a really good way to see that come out of artists, to realize that like they don't want the fangirls being like, oh my God, oh my God. Like they want to just talk. They want to be like, hey, what's up? Like, thanks for liking my music. Like it's as simple as that. So then kicking it still to 2011. It's still my first year walking around the whole like area because it was huge. I see that they had a giant skate ramp, and I was like, oh my God, like skater boys, yes, let me go ahead and watch this. And then, unbeknownst to me,
He
I'm sitting
said,
there watching them
"It's a skater boy." Sorry, I'm singing Avril
literally.
Lavigne.
uh, but yeah, so I'm standing there like odd, like Googled and being like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. They're so cool. And to like the right of me, all of a sudden I see the stage start filling up and blow up characters come up from like the top of the
Oh
stage
no.
of the band
Don't
members.
even fucking tell me.
And it's
Don't
a
even
day to
fucking tell
remember.
me. Yeah, I knew you were gonna fucking say that. I knew it.
And I sat back in awe because once again, like I had no idea we were
Mm.
going to this. I did not look up who was playing or what artists were going to be there. Literally, I got my map and the pamphlet of the set times and just kind of planned it out throughout the day. Didn't even see them on there because the writing was so tiny. And I just happened to turn and they're playing.
Did you know who A Day to Remember was, like, during this time?
I became a bigger fan of them after Warped Tour. And that was another thing I liked about Warped Tour is like I would know some bands. Like I'd have my ones I really wanted to see, and then I'd have those I knew maybe a couple
Yes.
songs. And then walking throughout like, the event, you would find new artists and I would fall in love and it just expanded my music culture. So like I knew of A
Yeah,
Day to
that
Remember. I
was
liked a few songs, but seeing them live changed me. And it was my first time ever seeing a death wall happen because he split the crowd in half and he made them fucking do a death wall. And I was like, holy shit, like I
oh
found my
my
home. Like,
God.
what is this? So, same first year though, because at Merriweather, they always had that one last artist that performed in the main, like, post pavilion. And, like, didn't know
Yeah.
who was going to be walking up, had this amazing day, bought all this band merch because I was like, holy crap, I love this stuff. We sit down and we're waiting. All of a sudden, Simple Plan comes on stage to end.
I want to cry right now. I want to cry right now. I fucking love Simple Plan. I don't care. Judge me. I don't give a fuck. I love Simple Plan.
Well, especially for me, because
God
during
damn
this
it.
time frame, like I was going through court battles with my mom and everything, and like my dad and having
Oh,
all
and
that
that
drama.
song.
So Simple Plan got me through a lot of stuff, whether it was perfect or I'm just a kid. I think
That's
it's
the one I'm
perfect.
thinking of.
Yeah. So I definitely shed a couple tears when he was singing that live. And as he's singing it, he didn't walk out on my side, but he walked out in the crowd on the opposite side of where I wasn't standing and like was interacting with the crowd and stuff. And it blew my mind.
Wow.
And I was like, holy crap, like I love music. I love this experience and I'm going to keep doing this. So then I proceeded to go to Warp Tour from 2011 to 2015. Because, like I said, once then, back then in the day, it was like $40 a ticket. I think it got as high as like 65. It was high school
Yeah.
kid, still reasonable, could still make it happen, saving up all my money for merch. Like,
Did you hear that?
I heard that. It was weird.
Oh, that sounds like somebody's in my kitchen.
Yeah. It sounds like that, or I thought maybe Reptar was getting up, but I don't even know if he's around you.
No, I can see him in his chair. I've been hearing, anyway, um, shit, what was I gonna say? I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, we're good. I was talking about how, I went to Warped Tour from 2011 to 2015 after that. Like, it was something like I did, even in high school, making sure I could afford, and I
Yeah.
evolved from going with like Cheryl to eventually going with like friends and stuff like that too, and expanding that. But every year I went, I had an amazing experience, whether it was meeting people or, like I got to see Crown the Empire one year and I was in the mosh pit during that and
Oh,
got to, hey,
oh
and
my
then
God,
after
that's,
seeing
I
them,
don't mosh, but I'm scared.
well, after seeing
I'm
them,
a
I'm
little,
walking around. I'm walking around the festival grounds, right? And all of a sudden, one of the members, I can't remember if it's the guitarist or bassist, but he's just holding a sign. No one's paying attention to him. I walk up to him. I'm like, yo, aren't you a member of Crown the Empire? He's like, yeah. I was like, can I get a picture with you? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. Stood there and took a picture with him.
he's just
Like,
chilling, and you're just like, hey, you fucking play in a band that makes dope ass music. What the fuck?
mm-hmm. And
That's so
then,
cool.
and as I'm telling these stories, I'm not sure which years this is all happening or when they played. I didn't like look that hard into it. But basically, from this time frame, 2011, 2015, I had these experiences, which were cool. Because one year, my friend Jasmine and I, and our friend Serena, who survived or was starting her remission from cancer because she got cancer in middle school, and one of the things she wanted
That's
to do was
crazy.
go see this wildlife live, and I had no idea who this band was,
Oh.
right?
Wait, this
And
wildlife, the bad one is front porch stuff. We don't like him, right?
I like his music, but he doesn't make it anymore because of allegations. This wildlife is the two guys with the guitars that we do like. So one year, Jasmine and I and Serena, because she wanted to cross it off her bucket list, and that was our main thing, was crossing shit off her bucket list. You survive this fucking cancer that you got told you weren't going to. It's rare for soccer players and shit, and you're in seventh grade. So we were like, fuck it, we're taking you here. This wildlife is playing. We're gonna make sure you see them. And
And
while
like,
we're walking
also,
around,
sorry, really sorry to cut you
mm,
off, but the visual of being in middle school and like being in remission from cancer, and all you want to do is see a band called This Wild Life.
like, dude, she even had to do the Make a Wish like foundation and stuff. Like, that's how bad and severe her stuff was. That they, the likelihood of her making it. And she, to this day, is still in remission. She actually does art therapy and teaches it, I do believe, in like Philly and stuff. Like, she is an amazing woman.
Oh, that's cool. Good for her.
Yeah, I'll have to
Good
send
for
you her
her.
Instagram actually, so you can check, so you can check her out. So we're walking around the festival grounds, right, waiting for finding the stage where this wildlife's going to be. And then all like I said, I had no idea who they are. I'm looking at their merch table, like looking at albums, and I'm just buying an album to listen to it. 50-50 shot if I like it. And
Yeah.
back then stuff was like $5, $10. It was super cheap. So I was like, yeah, like take my money, let's go. And we're standing there
Yeah.
looking at merch, and she looks over, and right beside the stage where like the gate is, they're both just standing there, just shooting the shit. And she's like, oh my
Oh,
God.
wow.
She's like, that's them. And I look over, I was like, that's them? I was like, you want to go say hi? And she goes, no, we can't do that. I said, come on. And I literally like make her
Oh
walk
my
up, and I'm
God.
like, hi, I don't know you guys, but I'm about to listen to y'all, so I'm really excited. I was like, but she loves you and really wants to come over here and say hi. And then like I got them talking, and like I complimented the one dude's tattoos on his legs because he has a bunch of Disney tattoos. And it was just a very, humbling fucking person to person experience. Like it was really, really cool.
Oh my
But
gosh, did you guys like did she mention that she was like in remission and shit?
no, she wasn't that type of person that would like try to drop that shit. That was
Oh
her,
my,
like,
that
that was
that
her
just
story.
goes to show you, yeah, like that just goes to show you like how authentic of an experience. Like, oh my God, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
So that was really cool. Um, yeah, I saw so many bands in that Warped Tour though throughout the years. Like I saw Falling in Reverse, I saw Taking Back Sunday,
Mm,
I saw
mm.
Never Shout Never, Sleeping with Sirens, Pierce the Veil. It's
We saw
actually
Pierce the
where I
Veil
discovered
together.
we did. Which is also leading
Nice.
into this too, because that's where Warped Tour was where I saw Ballyhoo for the first time, and they were on a tiny little
Oh
stage, and I
shit.
fell in love with their sound. I was like, "Holy crap, who is this?" And for them being a local band from
Yeah.
Maryland, I was like, "Holy crap!" I was like, "This is dope." Um,
Yeah.
so Warped Tour for me definitely like sparked like I love this stuff. So then when moving away from Maryland and moving to Denver, And, being like 17 going on 18, like the only reason why I got my driver's license so I could go to shows and things like that, like that's where it evolved even more. Like we, like you said, saw Pierce the Veil and Sum 41 play randomly one night because I came
Oh my
home, Cheryl
God.
had a ticket and had an extra ticket. It was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, like, what the fuck are the chances that you just have an extra ticket to fucking Pierce the Veil and Sum 41? So
Well, I
thank
think
you,
she got it
Cheryl,
for
for that.
Kurt. I think she got it for Kurt or something, and then he had to work.
That was very cool of her to do that.
Well,
So,
especially because like I remember me and you being on the floor, and we literally got pushed into the pit during Sum 41. Like there was no, like we weren't
mhm.
necessarily in the mosh pit, but we were definitely a part of the
Yeah.
mosh pit. And then I remember going up on the
Oscar.
balcony and rocking How to fucking Pierce the Veil.
That part. I loved that part. My dog is entering the chat. All right, we'll see how long it takes for him to completely ignore my instructions and return to this room.
Well, here, let me show you
Okay.
Mufasa real quick because he's looking really cute. Can you see him?
Oh, he is so cute. Hi, Mufasa.
Okay, so yeah, so like how we saw Ballyhoo, and you were actually with me the first time that. Remember we were at the Black Sheep, and it was that small ass fucking
Mm-hmm.
club in Colorado
Yep.
Springs, and I remember that whole night. I was throwing my hand up every time Howie, the lead singer, would sing or say something. I was like, I want him to grab my hand. I want him to grab
Oh,
my hand. And you were there that
yes.
night where he grabbed my hand. That was the only person's hand he
Yes.
fucking held while singing his song.
Yes. Holy shit. Holy
Um,
fuck. I completely forgot about that. Yes.
And what's also cool and what I realized is before I even got into EDM more and like the raving community, you actually went to my first rave with me.
Holy shit at the church
Yep,
with
yep,
Ron. That guy's name
yep.
was not Ron.
But he looked like Ron Weasley, so we went with it. I think it was
He
John,
was
honestly,
all
but
about,
whatever.
because both of us were like, oh my God, we're not really into race. Like, we were kind of like, oh, I'd rather
Well,
go to
I
the
don't
black
even think
sheep.
I don't even think he even told us like what it was. He was like, "Hey, you guys want to go to a show? Like, I got these tickets. Like, it's a club." That's all he said. Because I remember looking at you and being like, "I'm only like 18. I've never been to a club." And you're like, "Oh, I used to go to clubs in New York all the time." So like, I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, what do I wear?" And then you came over to my house that night and like you got me all dolled up. My hair was curled. I had red lipstick on. I was in like a cute little gray dress of yours. I had heels. Like, I looked like I was ready for like that New York fucking club. And then we pull up to the
That's
church, which
awesome.
was right across the street from our college, by the way.
Yeah, I do remember
Um,
that. I do remember that.
and we walk up and we look around and we're like, oh, we overdressed a little bit. Like we see everybody in like the rave gear and stuff. We're
Oh,
like, what
yeah.
are we getting ourselves into? And like we
And
walk in and
John
like
rolls
it's
up.
in like t-shirts and a jeans, I think. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but it was cool. Like I remember walking in and us
Yeah, it
being
was.
culture shocked. Like I remember like if you guys never been to the church or know what it is, it's in Denver. Definitely check it out. But it's a legit church. They converted for clubbing and like EDM shows and stuff. But there's still like stained glass windows and like it's just a beautiful layout and great acoustics. But yeah, that was my first like EDM experience because like I remember me and you like because I was too young to drink, so I was just drinking Coke, and then you were getting Jack and Coke, so we just stand in like the crowd and like kind of bob our heads, but didn't know what to do. And the sad thing is, I don't remember what DJ came out, but a certain DJ came out and he just started playing songs. And I remember me and you looking at each other, and we just went feral, like we were just started dancing and freaking, we got into it.
I have no idea. I know we looked him up afterwards.
Yeah, I can't remember his
Like,
name to say like save my life now.
yeah, it's like on the tip of my tongue. I almost remember it because it was so weird. Like in a good way. Like weird,
Yeah,
memorable, weird.
but I
But yeah,
remember
I don't.
we were having so much fun, and then all of a sudden this random dude started dancing on me and then like nibbled on my ear, and that's when I looked at you. I was like, "We gotta go."
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
oh.
yeah, yeah. But that was. It's funny to realize like you went with me to my first like rave experience.
Yeah, it's really cool. At a church,
Yeah,
technically, with a
yeah.
kid who looked like
Ron
Ron
Weasley.
Weasley.
Um,
No offense.
but yeah, like getting back into like music and the things and stuff, and like Cheryl wasn't the only one that kind of molded me, you know? Like my parents had a big thing about it. My dad, he was very much more into like Tupac and Biggie, and so he would show me more of like that genre and like that group. While my mom, she loves all music for the most part, like me, but like she like showed me Aerosmith, and like one thing that sticks with me with my mom is when I was a little kid, like we all have that song you pick as a kid. Like, what was your
Yeah.
song that you always requested when you were a child? Like, first song you can remember, like getting in the car, you were just like, I want to
Fine
hear this.
young cannibals. Fine young cannibals. She drives me crazy.
Okay, okay, respect.
Yeah.
See,
Or Wonderwall by Oasis.
that's a good one too. See, for me,
Yeah.
you know, when I was a baby, it was Rubber Ducky from Sesame Street, Bert and Ernie. But that
Oh well,
eventually,
if we're going back to that, then Barney. The
yeah.
Barney theme song.
But I remember like the first, like when I got older and started like picking like music that I liked, older as like maybe like 4 or 5, I would always request Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield. That was my
Okay.
song. So like anytime me and my
That's a
mom would
good
get in the
one.
car, that was Jesse's Girl, Jesse's Girl. You know,
Don't you just this girl. Okay,
like
I
that's
want to get
always
sued.
it's always been a song that resonates with me. And what's really cool is that it took me and my mom until this year to go to our first concert together. And this
Oh,
story, I
that's
promise,
wild.
ties into other stories that I've was said earlier. But the first concert we go together this year was Belmont, the Young Culture, and the lead band was This Wild Life. And ironically, it was their 10-year anniversary of their album Clouded, and that was when I first saw them at Warped Tour. Was when that album released and met them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's full circle.
yeah, so like it was really cool to go to this club or like this little bar with my mom for the first concert together, to see these bands. And I didn't really know much about Young Culture, looked up a couple songs. Bellmount, I liked a few songs, but This Wildlife, I knew every song they were going to sing. But Young Culture
Yeah.
opened, and like fell in love with them. Like I love them to this day now. Like they are such a great band.
Hell
But
yeah.
ironically, where we were standing at the bar was the spot from the stage where they get off and they have to walk out if they want to, go use the bathroom or go to their merch stand or something. So all of a sudden, like Bellmouth's coming on and Young Culture's walking off, and they're just walking right in front of me. And me and the lead singer actually happened to make eye contact. And I looked at him and reached out my hand. I was like, dude, you're freaking amazing. Just had to let you know. And like he shook my hand. He was like, thank you so much. And then walked away.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, ma, first concert together and like this happens. So fast forward a
Oh,
couple months,
wow.
and my mom had a great time. We had a great time, so we're like, oh, we gotta do this again. All of a sudden, there's a new venue in Richmond, Virginia, and she's like, hey, you never guess who's performing? Like, she goes, it's a bunch of '80s bands. And I was like, okay, I like all types of music. I'm
No.
not like a huge like. And then she's like, okay, well, the main performer is Rick Springfield. I was like, sold. I was
Wow.
like, we have to come full circle. I was like, always requesting that song in the car with you. Like, I need to see him perform it live with you. So,
That's
like,
so cool.
this same concert, I can't remember all the artists I played, but I know, like, Wang Chung was there. Like, everybody get Wang Chung tonight. Like, that song and shit. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so, like, we're watching Rick Springfield, right? And he's singing every great song. He's singing Human Touch and, like, walking out in the crowd and stuff. And, like, at the end of that song, it was right before he was about to start Jesse's Girl, and my mom got us front row like seats, and like you could stand up, and literally we were at the like left side of the stage where the steps were, where artists would have to walk back up if they walked down type deal. And so like
Yeah.
he walks out center stage, off the stage, into the crowd, does his thing, and when he's coming back towards us. And, he's like grabbing hands as he's walking by, and then like he walked around me and my mom, like he didn't see us, and then all of a sudden on the steps just turned around one last second, saw me and grabbed my hand and like held my hand and sang like part of like the like end of the song, and then walked up stage
Okay.
and then started playing Jesse's
That's
Girl. And I was
awesome.
like, bro, I was like, so my mom, like I said, my
Music is
dad,
like the place for you.
it's I'm drawn to it like it's drawn to me. And like
Hmm.
my grandmother was also a big like factor of that. Like she's the reason why I love like 20s and 50s style, or like, the oldies. Like, and she wasn't as much of a concert goer like I am, but she did get to go to some cool experiences. Like one of
That's
the things one of the things I learned that she did, because she was born back in the 50s, But she actually
Yeah.
got to see the Beatles live for $5 at the time. And
What?
yeah, like she randomly, I don't know if she didn't get the ticket. I think her friends got the ticket. And I remember her having to like plead with her mom and dad, my great grandparents, about like, let me go, let me go. Like I need, like, my friends have these, like, let me go do this stuff. Cause she was a little bit more sheltered.
That's so cool hearing you like you say she had to go ask your great grandparents.
Yeah.
Like it's just so crazy.
Um, but yeah, so like she had to get permission. She got it. She went there, saw them for $5. And what I found out when looking into it was they actually performed in Baltimore back in 1964. That was like the
Oh,
first time
what?
performing. Yeah, and or at least in
What?
Maryland, and that's literally like an hour and a
Yeah.
half, maybe 2 hours away from me, like Baltimore. So
I just
maybe
drew you as a blind contour line drawing.
it kind of looks like a teddy bear.
I'll show you more specifically. You were talking. I have ADHD.
No, you're good. But
So
yeah, so
she,
like,
let me get this straight. Let me get this straight about your grandma. She saw the Beatles in Baltimore, Maryland for $5 in the 60s.
mm-hmm.
I wish
And the
she had some of their merch.
And the funniest part about all this is, me, being maybe like 13, 14, discovered the Beatles, fell in love with them. I was like in awe. I was like, oh my God, like, how was it? What was it like to, experience that? And her
Yeah.
response is,
Oh my God.
eh, they were all right, but like, I like the monkeys more. So, like, I wasn't that impressed.
Mhm. The Who's?
Yeah, the monkeys. Hey, hey, we're the
Wow.
monkeys. Here we are monkeying around. Yeah. My jaw dropped when she said that stuff. And I was like, I would kill for that experience. We had a great conversation talking about it. Um,
Yeah.
and it was just wild to, doing the research, figuring out that it happened in Baltimore of all places. Like that was pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
but all those experiences, between all the different shows in Denver, between going to shows with my mom now and things like that, has all led and evolved into me experiencing, the EDM realm, especially with the person that I'm with. He's been in it for a while and he enjoys the
Hmm.
culture. And he's the one that introduced me to the culture.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, technically, Ron
I mean,
knows you
technically,
both,
yeah, technically you guys were
but
experiencing it with me, but when it actually like blossomed in me to like understand it and appreciate it was, being shown the way and going to fun things like I've experienced.
yeah.
Um, because like my first festival, which was a 2 day thing, was hijinks. I can't remember what year. I want to say probably 2022. But it's a festival that's in Philly. It's held in like a little convention center that they use like Comic Cons and stuff for too. Um, but we get to Philly, we get our hotel room, we go, and once again, just like Warped Tour, it was a culture shock. Like seeing half naked people, people that are just dancing, so out of the norm, but so accepted, and no one's judging
Yeah.
anybody. You see somebody fall, you pick them up. Like it reminded me of the culture that Warped Tour was in like mosh pits and stuff. When people would get hurt, you'd stop what you were doing and you'd take care of each other. And
Hopefully.
at raves, yeah, I mean, back in the day, you did.
That's fair. That's
Um,
fair.
and like raves just kind of opened me up to that. And like the first festival, I actually got to see some really good top notch DJs that I didn't know I was seeing at the time. Like I got to see Ganja White Night, I got to see Rez, I got to see Flume, Troy Boy.
Wow.
I got to see Grizz and Zed's Dead play back to back, and then that same night go to a smaller club and see Zed's Dead because we bought the after tickets. Like it was
Yeah.
such a opening thing. Which then eventually like led me to going to, smaller raves around the area, like little like underground raves around here, because where I'm at, DC and Baltimore are still known for having their shows and accepting the culture and the scene. So like going to
Yeah.
those and experiencing that then led to me going to my first camping festival, which was Halloween last year down in Live Oak, Florida.
Yeah.
If you guys have never heard of it, definitely look into it. It is what I can compare to modern day Woodstock because not only is it your wublubs, but you got your jam bands. It's literally a festival created by the members of the Grateful Dead, like Grateful
Yeah.
Dead
I
Bears.
I kind of like told the listeners 2 episodes ago when General Lee was on while you were at Halloween. I had mentioned that you were at Halloween for like 9 days, and I said maybe 7. How many days were you actually there?
I think I was there for 4, but you can be there up to like 4 to 5, maybe 6. I'm not sure what the early pass is, how early they go.
So, everybody, just remember whatever I say is a dry erase marker. It can be erased and rewritten. So, this is me erasing it, and I'm rewriting it, and I'm saying Sam was there for 5 days. Look, now we
It
remember it
happened.
correctly. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
that's, anyways,
it's just, going last year, I went for my 27th birthday because it was happening on my birthday, which was really cool. So it was like, whole thing, me being a nervous, like little newbie, not knowing, like, I've been to the ones for 2 days. I've been to the ones we sleep in hotel rooms, but this is camping. Like, we're out in like the sand and the trees,
this is like
everybody's dirty.
Bonnaroo.
Like, yeah, but like Florida version.
Right.
Um, So like we get there and like I have never seen so much, like I've said before, like love and acceptance. Like you got random strangers coming up to you just to be like, "Gosh, you're so beautiful," and then they just walk away. Or like vice
Yeah.
versa, or you'll get into a conversation with a stranger and it just, it could change your whole experience. Like you can make a friend for life and you have no idea. Like it's just, there's people constantly gifting people things and looking out for each other, and it is a culture that I think is misconstrued a lot of times between like what they think the rave scene is about when it comes to, like drugs, sex. I mean, the same thing they did with rock and roll, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's always those misconceptions, but like when you actually are in it and in the heart of it, you realize like they actually have the saying, which is a word they made up, which is plur, which stands
Blur?
for peace. Yeah, plur, PLUR. It stands for
Okay.
peace, love, unity, and respect.
Oh,
Because when you're doing this, you want to be plur, you want to give plur, you want, and that's what everyone does. Like you look out for people. If you see somebody, you know, overheating in the crowd and passing out, you make sure you go get them help. Like if if somebody needs water, you give them water. If, you meet a stranger and you got a freaking bracelet you want to give, and they like, it's such a wonderful and life-changing experience. I feel like everyone needs to. Like you don't realize until you're in it. Like somebody gives you a little rubber ducky. That is like the most, like that is like gold to you for some reason because a stranger gave it to you out of their heart. Like, or people will make art and give you art, and like you don't
mm,
know the connections you'll make and stuff like that. So my first
yes.
year going, like the coolest thing that happened that year was that Sublime was playing and they played on my birthday and they were the closer. So like I got to see the original Sublime
That's
members, and
awesome.
then they used his son from Sublime with Rome for the vocals.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
they sang almost every song I wanted to hear, which was absolutely like the best birthday gift ever. So
Yeah.
then, went again this year, and after going this year, like granted, had a great time, saw a bunch of good artists. Like Zed's Dead was mwah, to like Chef's Kiss was amazing. Same with Wonky Willa. Um, but it made me come back and kind of think, like, where did this culture begin? How did it start? Why did it start? And like, how did we get from underground hush hush invite only things that like are now such a wide global celebration?
Ooh, I like that question because I'm also curious.
So, dabbling into my little research search that I did.
My research.
Um, so like the best of what I could like deduce is that raving kind of began in the mid to late 1980s. Definitely started in the UK before coming over to the United States.
Oh,
Because it
really?
didn't. Yes, it was a big thing. Like the UK kind of started that movement and started that culture.
Was it in response to something?
It was their way of just kind of having self-expression and to be able to be unapologetically themselves. Whether that was people figuring out their sexuality or wanting to dress a certain way to express themselves, or even just listening to a certain kind of music that, back in the day, people didn't understand or didn't appreciate.
And
It's
what
just,
time frame is this? Like what
like
decade?
it, it started, like I said, mid to May, late 1980s.
1980s. Okay, I missed that part, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Um,
And
so
also in the mid
basically,
to late 1980s, sorry, you mentioned the UK, just a little bit of history of rock and roll from what I can remember from college. In the late 80s in the UK, there was like this punk rock movement where
Mm-hmm.
they were writing songs that like rebelled against the queen and
Yeah.
the monarchy, and so you had like Black Flag type beat stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting to like there was obviously a spark of revolt in like one of those pockets. Maybe it sounds like you're talking about is like the rave pocket.
Yeah, basically. Especially because, like I've said previously, like the culture was just such frowned upon because those who didn't understand it and wasn't a part of it saw it for, like I said, drugs, sex,
Hmm.
rowdy
And a lot of people
behavior.
still do. And a lot of people
They
still
do.
do. So,
Yeah, you're good. But so I did do some research and found out that like the first underground rave that like started the spread in the UK across Britain was called the Second Summer of Love. It was from 1988 to 1989.
so what was the first Summer of Love?
Yeah, but they said the second because I think they were trying to go off of like, Woodstock in the 70s, you know?
So was the Summer of Love Woodstock?
I think so. I think that's what it's referred to. I didn't look into that. That's a good question.
Let's googe. I'm gonna google. I'll be your sidekick. Let me googe.
Yes.
Okay. What was the original Summer of Love? Because I'm always like, oh, it's the second Summer of Love. Well, then what was the first one? Why?
Ah, por qué?
Oh my God, I have an answer, but I'm not going to use the
Okay,
first one from Google. I'm going to do a little digging first so I can give you guys some in-depth on the spot journalism.
let's
This
do
is
it.
from history.com. Oh my gosh. Human Be-In is held in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park.
Hmm.
Um, January 14th, 1967, launched the Summer of Love, the event that took place in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park drew more than 20,000 people to enjoy peace, love, music, and psychedelics. Artist Michael Bowen advertised his event in the underground newspaper, the San Francisco Oracle, as a gathering of tribes for the human be-in. So like a be-in, like a
Yeah.
lock in, like you're just being in. He hoped to bring together the quote unquote tribes of the psychedelic San Francisco hippies and the Berkeley anti-war activists. Boom. And also, they did use the immediate provocation for the be-in was the banning of LSD by the California State Legislature in 1966, because that was like the year right before. Um, but they still, I believe that they did actually. It was a 1960s counterculture from psychedelic drug use, peace, love, and rock and roll to civil rights sit-ins, teach-ins, and anti-war protests and experimental performance art. And that has been a lesson from history.com regurgitated through Wheatsea's mouth. Sorry, I need to stop
Hell
doing
yeah.
English accents. General Lee is gonna kick
Ours.
my
But
earth.
yeah, that's really cool to find out too. Like I didn't even think about looking into that. That's awesome. I like that little factoid.
Well, that's why
Which
the
is
two of
which is
us
funny.
make one podcast.
Well, it's also funny too that it happened in San Francisco because like raving in the United States like predominantly is popped off in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Like that's kind of like where it started for the United States.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So it came over from the UK to San Francisco and Los
mhm.
Angeles. Very
Yeah,
cool.
like that's kind of where they started getting a little popular. But back in the UK, like these raves were often held in like abandoned warehouses, fields, or secret locations, and like you would have to get invites or you have to know people. Like it wasn't widespread or advertised out there. Like it was,
Yeah,
a
you had to
select, which made
know.
it, even cooler at the time. Everybody loves that mystery. Um,
Yeah, or feeling like you know something other people don't. You have an invite other people don't. Like you're in the know.
exactly. But once like the popularity of this like kicked off and everything, that's when like the battle between like raves and ravers and like the law eventually spread like the rave evolution kind of in a way. That's my wording, not where I anywhere I found it. Um,
What's the rave evolution?
just like the evolution of the rave community and like how it started, like in abandoned warehouses and fields, and how it was such like a
Oh
big,
shit,
like the
yeah.
law was so against it, and how it evolves now where like, police officers are there on site at raves, and like a lot of them you'll see videos of them bump into the music too. Like there's some, instead of it being, clashing, like we eventually kind of
Yeah.
united, like, peace, love,
Well,
and unity.
if when the people speak, if they speak loud enough, you have to listen.
Um, touche. You're not wrong with that.
Yeah. Just let
But yeah,
everybody
so
know.
like the law that I'm referring to is they had a concern with like the drug use, noise complaints, and mass gatherings led in the UK. This back I said back to the UK laws. Um, that enacted the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994, basically targeting raves, criminalizing gatherings where music has a repetitive beat was the definition of that law. So
Mm,
like I didn't really do any research on like the United States laws and stuff. I kind of wanted to keep it positive, but I thought that was a cool factoid to like, tie in the fact that they put in this order back in
yeah.
1994 for repetitive music. All music is repetitive, but okay.
Uh-huh. It's called pattern.
Um, and then I was also looking into it, and you know, that whole law and everything just didn't stop the community though. They adapted, moving to like legal clubs, and
Mm.
as of recent have, a surge in underground raving has actually come to be a bigger thing again. Like it went from, them evolving to festival grounds and clubs and things like that to,
Yeah.
still trying to kick it back old school into the ties, where it's like it's still, I mean, I've gone to a couple undergrounds. Like it really, like there are warehouses or, above a bar, and it's the coolest experience ever. It's, um that being said, like they also had a type of raves that were called locked in, where
Yeah.
basically you would get an invite to this underground rave. It'd be at a warehouse, and then they would lock you in until daylight. Like you were on leave, like you were there to party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
and my dad actually
crazy.
went to a couple of these.
I would not want to do that.
But yeah, like the lock in raves kind of happened back in like the 1990s type deal. But what I think people like don't understand is that rave culture itself embodies freedom, unity, and self-expression. It's all about escaping the mundane and becoming part of a collective. We're here to unite and to be there for each other and support each other. Um, so that being said, and my love for raving and everything made me want to dive into like the first rave in the state I live in, which is Maryland. Um, so in doing that research, I found out that the first rave that was held in the state of Maryland was back in 1992 to 2001. It was called a fever rave, and it was actually held in Baltimore as well, which I thought was pretty uncanny.
Whoa.
Um, yeah, like once again, Baltimore.
What did you say? You said that what was in Maryland and in Baltimore as well?
So the first rave that happened in the state of Maryland was called the Fever Rave back in 1992, 2001, and it actually was in Baltimore.
Yes, I think the name like the Fever Rave is it gives me such an image of like just dancing and sweating.
Oh yeah, 100%, but yeah, that's kind of all like the research I delved into. Like it was one of those things that was like a little rabbit hole I wanted to go down because, I wanted to see why I connect so much with this scene, and
Yeah.
it makes sense. Like it's like I said, it's modern day Woodstock for me. Like the fact of this past year at Hula, our neighbors literally made us food like every day, and they didn't have to. They'd make burgers or make
Oh,
breakfast and just walk over and be like, "Hey, we got food for you guys." Like the type of people, like I feel so safe. I feel so accepted. Like I always say when I, especially now going back to Hula for the second year, like I'm home. Like so,
yeah. And it's so cool to hear because something that I felt like was consistent across all these different you talked about like punk rock, you talked about pop punk, you talked about almost like
reggae.
reggae, um you talked about EDM. I My first band or my first show I ever saw was Billy Gilman, who was a country singer, but whatever, that's a side tangent. But the thing that I noticed that unified it all was this feeling of belonging and connecting to what you're listening to and how it has expanded, you know, you feel something, you feel a connection, it sparks something in us. And I feel like music is the most ancient sound, like it's the most ancient thing that we can still hold. And I mean that you play an instrument, an instrument that was like a harp from 1300. You're playing, I know that maybe the strings have been replaced, but you're playing or whatever, but you get the idea. Like you can hear what people used to hear. And when we hear that, it affects us and we love it. We pass that down to our kids. And so
Hmm.
if we, why do you think monks chant? Why do you think there are gongs? Like there are sounds that create these sacred spaces, these sacred moments, because they're vibrations. My job in the military was radio frequency transmissions. My job was to study invisible. My job was to study invisible radio frequencies that carried information back and forth. And so, as I'm talking to you, waves of sound are flying out of my mouth hole and going into space. And you're hearing them, they're going into your ears. They exist, and we can study them, and they mean something. And so, why would we not create a space to celebrate the existence of that wild waveform that can literally change the way our DNA expresses itself? It's fucking crazy. Music is crazy. If you sing to plants, they live longer, they're happier, they drink more water, they try harder to be plants. If you fucking
Hmm.
sing to them, they're like, yeah, fuck it, I'll drink my water. Like, I'll be green. Like, what?
No, like
Anyways,
I tying
tangent.
into like all that though, like for me, and the reason why my music selection is so such a variety and I appreciate so much is that every chord, every sound, every note has been derived from some other artist, has come from somewhere. So, me listening to people like Ray Charles and then being able to listen to like Bollywood and stuff, and I'm not saying that they tie in together, but the fact is, like, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the music we have today. And going back even
Hmm.
further, and like you said, it evokes certain emotions because it's passed down through generations. Who knows what our ancestors like that sound that gives us goosebumps, that feeling that when you that hits, it could be a
Hmm.
past life or a past experience that our ancestors have felt previously, and we're feeling it for them without even realizing that that's what's going on.
100%. Like for some reason, and it could just be because it's a sad song, but the now I just had it, Nora, no, that's not the song. I was thinking of an older song, but now I can't. Oh my God. I don't remember. I lost it. Never mind.
But
I
regardless
can
if it's a
see
sad
her.
song or a happy song, like that those goosebumps you get, that feeling that you get, like there's a
Mhm.
reason for it. Whether it's,
Yeah.
your experience or of past, like it's meant to be acknowledged, it's meant to be appreciated.
When I when you think about the power of sound, a loud noise can rupture your eardrums. You can kill something with a loud sound. Sound is a weapon, and without sound, we would go crazy. So, at every single second of every single moment, we are experiencing some sort of sound. Nobody has ever been in complete silence unless you've paid money to be in one of those crazy silent rooms or like made one yourself because
Because
I mean,
even people with
I don't know,
disabilities
maybe
that
you
are
did.
deaf and stuff like that, they still feel the vibrations, so they still have some
Hmm.
association and some connection with it.
Right, because it's the energy is, that's a great point.
Hmm.
And that it doesn't, you can also physically feel it. It fucking actually physically affects you. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, yeah.
But yeah, that's really, I mean, all I got. Music's a big part of my life. It was a big part of our friendship. It is a big part of just, everybody, I think, no matter
Oh
what you're
yeah.
into or what happens to speak to you.
100%. I think 100%. Music is the most important thing on this planet, and festivals provide a place for people to build community and their love of music. So, this was a great episode. And thanks for being here, fam. Never stop asking yourselves, who are you? And also never stop going to festivals. And if you've never gone to a festival, you should go.